Dear friends, in this video, let us learn how to install the ISILON OneFS simulator. And this is the OVA file we need to install on our workstation. So in this video, first let us understand what are the system requirements to implement this OVA file or to install this OneFS simulator, and what are the network requirements, and where to download the ISILON simulator and installing the OneFS simulator. Once the simulator is installed and cluster is built, then we can see how to access the cluster using graphical user interface. And then we will explore the GUI. So what is there on the graphical user interface and what are the services we can configure on the graphical user interface. These things we can see here. And then the same way how we can access the ISILON cluster through CLI, and what is ISILON CLI. And next we'll exploring what are the different commands, how to get the help through CLI. These things we will see as part of exploring ISILON CLI interface. And then how to install the licenses. Even though it is a simulator, and still we need the licenses to function the given services. RAM requirements. We need 2 GB per virtual node. So virtual node means one ISILON node. So to build a cluster, we need at least 3 ISILON nodes. That means we need around 6 GB RAM availability on our workstation. And then we should have the VT capable, virtual technology capable processor. If it is not enabled, you can enable it in the BIOS. And then how much hard disk space required? It recommended is 42 GB required capacity. And then you can install this OVA file, or you can set up this ISILON cluster on Windows machine or Ubuntu or CentOS. On top of this, we need a virtual infrastructure. That means since we are deploying the OVA file, we should have VMware server or VMware Fusion or VMware Workstation or VMware Player, or you can install the this cluster on ESXi as well. These are the system requirements. Now network requirements. So coming to network requirements, as discussed or as mentioned earlier, we are going to implement 3 ISILON nodes, right? So 3 nodes. Okay, to build a cluster, we are using 3 nodes. So each nodes will have internal network interfaces, where these we need a network. For internal communication, we need internal network. For external communication means through which the clients and users can access the resources on the cluster, and this is called external network, right? So internal network is for communication within the cluster, um, whereas external network communicate the external nodes to the ISILON cluster. So since we are deploying this simulator on virtual environment, the network requirements are we need 2 network interfaces, NAT and bridge. NAT interface facilitates internal communication, whereas bridge interface facilitates external client access, right? IP config command and get the network details which we can use. For this lab, this is the network I am using, and this is the that is the virtual network card, and this is the network IP network subnet we are going to use for this installation. So now use you can download simulator from this link or from this link. I will give these links in description. You can download if you are practicing this simulator installation. So you can go to the URL and under downloads you can download this simulator. It will come under it will come in zip format. You can download and extract. And next, once you downloaded the simulator and extracted it on your local disk, then simply you can go to file and deploy OVA file, and it will another pop-up window where you can select the location and the OVA file, open. It will start installing the simulator. And once the simulator is installed and cluster built, then you can access this ISILON cluster using Smart Connect zone name if it is configured at the time of installation only, or you can use the Smart Connect service IP, or you can use the node IP. So once you type that node IP or Smart Connect service IP under in the browser window, it will show this uh, pop-up window regarding the security certificate. Then it will open, connect to the ISILON, and it will open. And here by default you will have admin and root users, so you can log into the ISILON cluster using admin account or using root account. The password would be default password is A, but since it is a simulator, at the time of installation you can set up. Then once you connect, and this is how the graphical user interface looks like, and different tabs are available to configure different services. If you notice, you can check the logged in user here, and what is the version of the 1FS, and through which you connected to this GUI, and what is the name of the ISILON cluster. And if you want to log out, you can log out from here. If you need more help, or you can use the help button here. And then to connect to ISILON cluster through CLI, same thing. You can use Smart Connect service IP, or you can use the node IP in party session through SSH, and then it will prompt for the username and password. Again, you can log in as a root or admin, and this is how the command prompt looks like. Next, to add the evaluation licenses, you can use this command. If you are adding the licenses through CLI or on GUI, you can go to this tab and manage trials. There you can add the license keys for evaluation version. And if you want to uninstall this simulator, it's simply you can power off all virtual machines whatever you powered on as part of this installation or as these nodes, and once all virtual machines are down, then you can delete the virtual machine files. Okay, this is the overview of the ISILON simulator installation. Let us install the ISILON simulator. I have already downloaded the OVA file. I have copied a OVA file under this, And we have the installation guide as well. We can look at this guide. So let us open VMware Workstation and go to File, Open. So it is directly routed to particular folder where I have copied the OVA file. Just I'm selecting this version is 8.2. Open. So here we need to give the name for this node. So when you install this, each instance will be taken as a one node. So since we are going to build a cluster with minimum of 3 nodes, so we need to install this thrice. So I will give the name. So you can give easy node 1, and we need to provide the storage path where it can save or implement or install this ISILON. So I will go with the default path, and then we need to click on import. It will take some time. Yeah, here it is. See, if you notice the network cards, it took 3. One for host only and a NAT and bridged. So automatically it configured the network interfaces required. Whatever required, it already configured. Just I am powering on the node. So let us type S to proceed here for the installation. You can ignore what are the warnings. Now we have 4 options, whether we need to create a new cluster, or if the cluster is already there and we want to add additional nodes to the cluster. That is the second option. Join an existing cluster and exit this wizard and configure it manually, or reboot. These are the 4 options we have. Since this is the first node where we want to build a cluster, so I will go with the first option, that is create a new cluster. So just press 1 and agree this license agreement. Let us accept this. So it is asking for the password to log in, and the username is root. So I will type the password. Now it is prompting for admin password. So here also give the password and confirm the password. So name for the cluster. Here I will give, enter the cluster name. Just press enter to select the default. And then now the wizard is prompting for the interface configuration. As I said earlier, We will have a two network configuration, one for internal communication and another one for external communication. External communication means client connections, right? So let us configure int -a IP range. That is the third option. So this is for internal communication, right? Okay. Add IP range, first option, and low address range, low address. You can give anything because it doesn't conflict with the client network since we are configuring this network for internal communication only. And high range, I will give 50. Now we are done with the IP configuration and it is showing here. Press enter to exit from this wizard. Yeah, now we came to the first option. So IP range configured. Now we need to configure the MTU and subnet mask. By default, MTU would be 1500, so I will leave that MTU as the defaults. So I will configure the first one, that is the net mask, 255.255.255.0. Now we have the net mask, MTU, IP range. Press enter to come out of this wizard. Now, so internal network is already configured. Press enter. Now it is asking for the external network configuration for client connection. So here we need to see what is the range of IP, what is the IP or what is the subnet of the local machine where we need to use for this communication, right? So let me see what is configured on my workstation. Okay, so we will use this network for external communication and it is 192.168.216.1 and subnet is this. So let me configure this. This network configuration or IP address range, it depends on how many interfaces you want to add to this network. So each interface will take one IP. If you have more IP addresses, then each interface will get multiple IPs. So at least minimum you need one IP per interface. Depending on the how many interfaces you want to add to this network, this pool IP pool, you need those many IP addresses. So for this installation, I will add 20. Let us take the first option, external interfaces, and let us configure the subnet. It is 255.255.255.0 and then MTU will go with the default one. Let us configure the IP range. To configure the IP range, we need to select third option and since it is the first time we were configuring, so let us add an IP range. So IP range is, I am going to take 192.168.216 dot, we'll go with the 52 to, I will go 70. um, 50, started with 52 to 70. So I want to reserve 51 for Smart Connect Service IP. So the Smart Connect Service IP should be, uh, Smart Connect Service IP should not be part of the IP pool range. So added. Next, if you see network, we have the IP range, net mask and MTU. Now it is asking for the gateway. So let me go with 192.168.216.1 and Smart Connect zone name and Smart Connect service ID. We can configure them later. So I want to go with without configuring this. So just press enter and DNS and search domain. So these also will configure later. So we'll press enter and next it is asking for the external subnet. So it's already, these are all external configuration network configuration parameters only. So already we are done. So just I will click enter and again it is asking for, now it is asking for date. So I will go with the default one. Then it is asking for, so this is the first node, right? And you are going to build a cluster. So whenever you add more nodes to this cluster, how those nodes should be joined, whether those should be joined manually or secure. So I will go with the manual one, first option. So we are done with, we configured whatever required to set up this simulator. So now we are going to commit these changes. Now we are going to commit these changes. Just type as and wait for some time. It will set up the cluster and as well as it will install the node. It will install the node and set up the it will install the node and configure the cluster with this single node. So whenever we install new nodes, those can be joined to this existing cluster. So node installed and cluster also built. You can log in on the console itself. Node setup done. So now let us install two more nodes. Okay, again go to file and open and select the same OVA file and give some name. power on this node. Let us proceed by typing S. You can safely ignore these warnings. So here is the wizard started. The first, create a new cluster. Second, join an existing cluster. So we have already existing cluster. So let us join this new node to that existing cluster. So I am selecting option 2, and it will display the number of clusters available on this network. So you can choose the cluster which uh, you want to add this node. So I'm selecting, since we have only one cluster, I'm selecting the first. It is displaying 1. I'm selecting 1. uh, when you add the second node onwards, you need not to configure any network, since we are joining to the existing cluster. All the network parameters, everything will be uh, gathered from the existing cluster only. So while setting up the second node, we can parallelly run the third node installation. Open again.
Having power on this node.
So this is also automatically configured and it is ready. It should be available in the cluster. Let us see, once we complete the third node installation, then we can go to the open the GUI and see. This is the third node installation is going on.
So let's type S.
And this third node also will be joined to the existing cluster only. So I am selecting option 2, and it will display the available clusters on this network. Let us select the first one, and which is only the available one, and it will set up automatically. Done. So 3 nodes are ready. Now we'll see how we can access this cluster. And to access this cluster, as I told you earlier, we can use the Smart Connect service IP or Smart Connect zone name or node IPs. Since we have not yet set up the any Smart Connect service IP or Smart Connect zone name, we'll use the first node IP to connect to this cluster using graphical user interface. So let us open browser, type the IP address of the node 192.68.216. What is the IP range we have given? It is 52 to 70. So we should be sure it 150 52 might have assigned to some interface. So I'm going with the 52 and open the window. So it is connected to ISILON cluster and it's prompting for the authentication. We have two users set up already, root and admin. Let us log in with the root and password. And this is how we can set up the ISILON simulator. Now we are able to log into the ISILON cluster, and as I said, this is the cluster name what we have given, and this is the 1FS version, and this is a user logged in user. You can log out from here, and we are connected to node 1, right? So you can see the nodes, right? The node 1, node 2, node 3, 3 nodes connected. You can see the status of each node and their interfaces. Node 2, node 3. Now what are the services are available? So these are the services protocols available, and now to function those services we need the license keys. To enable those services we need the license keys. So since it is a simulator and we need the evaluation license keys, and you can enable trial version, cluster management, licensing, and from here you can see the license details here. So this is unlicensed, right? And expiration date not available. Since we don't have any licenses, we can enable trial, manage trials. Click on manage trial, select all, start trial. And it is success. Close this window. If you see, now the status is showing evaluation version, and license it for 3 nodes. So what are the services we got? 1FS, that's the base version, cloud pools, security, HDFS, smart connect, smart connect advanced, dedupe, smart lab, smart pools, smart quotas, snapshot IQs, Swift, and sync IQ. We have almost all licenses in this trial version. So we can log out here Now let us connect through CLI. So let us open the putty session. I will give the IP address of the node 168.216.52. Root and password. Now we are able to connect with the ISILON cluster, right? So to check the status, easy status. It will show you the status of this ISILON cluster. Ignore these errors, we will resolve later. And these are the three nodes and IP address assigned to each node. And if you want to see the commands, you can go with the easy. Just type easy and press tab. It will show you whatever the commands available. Okay, this ends the installation of ISILON Simulator. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.